Yeah. It's Double H back in the mix. Back in the mix. Yeah, man, just watched Rango. Just watched Rango. Um, you know I mean, before guys, what was I've been saying? I've been saying that we need something different from animation. I'm a fan of animation, and Pixar have a monopoly on animation, and it just seems that with Pixar's monopoly, there is sort of like an expectancy of what you know is deemed acceptable for an animation. Hence, your very emotional, let's make everybody cry stories with the same old comedy, with the same kinds of characters, with the same kinds of jokes, and the same kind of humor, which is pretty much what Pixar have been doing, and it's just not for me. And I saw the Rango featurettes, on Festival Internet. I was like, okay, this looks like something that's different, but I had my reservations. And even before going to see this, I watched this thing with them elements. I was like, okay, man, what's it going to be, because I was literally just going there like nude. I was just going there nude. I was like, this thing could be anything. It could be rubbish because I hardly read anything. All I saw was the trailer, that's features, and that was it. I've not seen any TV spots or anything more. And I mean, first few minutes of it, I was like, okay, just getting to know the character, and you're like, oh, okay, what the hell? But literally, man, by the time I got halfway through this thing, I was like, this is actually pretty good. Okay, I don't know whether this thing's going to dip down or go down, but I was like, this is actually pretty good. And by the time I finished it, I was like, this is the best animation film I've seen since Nightmare Before Christmas. And obviously before that, you have all the great, Disney films from the old school. But I mean, this is the best animation flick I've seen since Nightmare Before Christmas. And obviously before that, you obviously have Akira and all those things. But I mean, it's like, it was actually really good. It was really good. And I was surprised. Maybe I was going in there because of low expectations, as I said, to elements, but I was surprised by just how well this thing was made. It is extremely well made. I mean, the animation is absolutely amazing. I think even me and Elements agree that it's probably the best that we've seen in a long time. And this is comparing to Pixar. This is probably the best we've seen in a long time. And I think it was ILM that did it. But I mean, the animation, some of the scenes in it were just incredible. And I mean, the voice acting in it was great. But for me, I thought like Johnny Depp was really good in this. He was really good, and I think that he flourishes in things like this. But obviously, I'll get to that afterwards. But I mean, yeah, you have obviously like Isla Fisher's there. Ned Beatty, aka Mr. Luthor, does a voice. Bill Nye does a voice. All these guys do a voice over there. And obviously, it's the characters were amazing. I mean, the way they were made, the creativity of the characters, how they looked, how they felt, the way. Because the thing about that was that this it was obviously a love letter to the West. Not really like, okay, let's just steal things, but it was sort of like it was really like a homage to all these Western movies that we've seen. And it was interesting the way they made these creatures and animals that we know, and they embodied the cliches and the mannerisms of Western characters and settings, which was really good. I mean, like the typical scene of going into the salon, and you have the kind of like close-up shots of like half of someone's face focusing on their eye, looking at people playing cards, and that whole thing. But it was just interesting, with them using animals, creatures, do that. You're using different creatures to do stuff that you normally see humans do. It just made it like interesting, and funny and cool, But yeah, and obviously, I mean, just bring out a basic story because I want to keep this as non-spoilers as possible. Basic story is obviously Rango is basically you have this guy. He's a lizard, and he dreams of being like a hero and all that kind of stuff. And this thing is sort of like it's half narrated by these. I think they're owls. I think and obviously they're like a Mexican kind of musical band that you see in these Western films or Roberto Rodriguez films. AKA like a la what's it called From Dusk Till Dawn. And basically, they have the lizard guy who is played by Johnny Depp, and he obviously dreams of being this kind of great hero, and then he stumbles upon this town where the water is running low. and these people they need water, and somehow, again by mistake, he then comes up with this thing called Rango, and because they don't really know what he is, he basically tells stories about how great he is, blah blah, and he's Rango and all that kind of stuff, and then these people they're looking for a hero, somebody to inspire them to give them water, and they see it into this guy Rango, and he's obviously installed as sheriff by the mayor, and thus the story starts of how this Rango guy can try and get water and find water for these people, and then obviously there are a few twists and turns here and there, but that's the basic story. This town that's running low on water, they're getting thirsty, and they want, and it's a search for water to keep them alive and survive. But yeah, but I think you see. The problem that I've had with a lot of the Pixar stuff, and the reason why I've not really been to watch hardly any of the stuff, was that it was too sappy, and I think that's, wait, is this all animation can be? I think that animation has to be Billy Crystal telling jokes and all the same kind of comedy and the same kind of, oh, okay, let's cry now, all this kind of sappy stuff. I mean, yeah, obviously, it's good that it's original, you're trying to tell all these stories, but I mean, it's too sappy, man, and why can't we have animation that's a lot more serious? Like, I mean, that was the beauty of Nightmare Before Christmas. Yeah, it was supposed to be like a kids thing, but it had a very dark edge to it, and it had something very serious to it, and it's balanced, fun and excitement with something very dark and twisted. And I think the beauty of this Rango thing is that, yes, the Rango, he's fun, he's a very interesting character, and all that jazz. But at the same time, there's some substance to it, and there are times where you feel like if you're actually watching like a serious Sergio Leone Western film, and obviously I think you have to give credit to Gore Verbinski. I'm not a fan of Pirates of the Caribbean, and when I heard Gore Verbinski doing this, I was like, okay, yeah, wow, because I'm just not a fan of those Caribbean films. But this guy, it was well directed. Obviously I don't know how direction fully works in animation, but just how it was put together, how the scenes were put together, just how this thing was done, it was very exciting, and it was well directed. For however directing is done in animation, it was well directed, and you've got to give credit to Gore Verbinski from that. And I think from watching it, that this guy appreciates and understands what made Western films so good. But again, the triumph of this is that is the balance. You look at, that's why for me, I always say like Superman the movie is still the greatest superhero movie of all time, because it was a perfect balance between being very serious, very dramatic, and being fun, and something that's like a 5-year-old can watch. I mean, something like Rango, a 6-year-old or 5-year-old can watch it and really enjoy it, but at the same time, a 30-year-old, 40-year-old guy can watch it and still enjoy it. And people who are aficionados of Western movies, they can still watch this. They can watch this movie and really see all those little bits from Western movies that are peppered in this film. So yeah, I mean that's the I mean, I think Gore Verbinski, he needs to be given a lot of credit for that.